everyone, it's Jasmine here with another episode of travel tips for you all. And for this week's episode, I have 5 safety travel tips for you guys so you guys can all go out in the world and travel safely. And without further ado, let's get right into it. And of course, we start with tip number 1. And tip number 1 is to research before you travel. So wherever I would travel, I would always research before I go to that destination. I would research, for example, safety tips for X destination. And usually Google would give you tons of tips that you should keep in mind. And usually there will be a lot of generic ones, so you'll know which one you should keep in mind. For example, you'll usually find, for example, if you would search safety tips to go to Barcelona, there will be like beware for pickpocketers and people putting something in your drink. It may not necessarily, of course, when you Google things may seem a bit more extreme. I remember Googling about going to a destination and all these horrible things just came out and it just freaked me out. But of course, it will not happen to you always, but it's always good to keep in mind that these kind of things can happen and to avoid them as much as possible. And then we go to tip number 2 is to correctly manage your money. Now, of course, there is no right and wrong way, but when you're traveling, put your money in multiple different places. My mom always kills me if I don't, and I think me and my mom always get into an argument before I travel somewhere because she's always like, Jasmine, do you have your money here, here, here? And I will just find money in the weirdest places because she will just stuff them everywhere. But my mom is a very paranoid person, but it's also a very good tip because if you put all your money in your wallet and someone happens to steal your wallet, that's it, that's everything gone. So always carry the amount you need with you when you're traveling. Otherwise, the rest leave them back at the hotel or hostel. And make sure to always divide your money in many different places. So if someone, for example, finds money in one certain place, they won't also take the other one. So don't put your eggs all in one basket. And then we go to tip number 3, which is travel insurance. This might sound like an obvious one because a lot of people, believe it or not, don't actually get travel insurance when they're traveling, and I'm guilty of that. Most of the times I don't even have travel insurance because I'm always like, what if this, like, it's never gonna happen to me. It rarely happens, but the one time it does happen to you and you don't have travel insurance, you will want to get travel insurance. And did you know the good thing about traveling with JoinMyTrip is that every eligible trip mate and trip leader actually gets free travel insurance when you're traveling with us. So make sure to also check out JoinMyTrip. And then we have tip number 4, which is don't flash your wealth. And of course, sometimes you want to show off the nice things you have when you're on holiday, but there's a limit to when too much is too much. Of course, if you're gonna be wearing gold chains with a bunch of gold rings on, flashing everything you have, you will be a target for robbers and theft. So keep that into consideration. Like, be aware of your surroundings. Don't become a target for other people to loot you. And now, last but not least, is tip number 5 is to let someone at home know where you are and how to contact you if needed. And this is something that I tell everyone. I constantly remind in the travel tips show. If you haven't been following and seen the previous episodes, I've always told people that always let people know where you are, because that is the best thing you can do. Knowing someone, like if for example you get kidnapped, you can't possibly help yourself. Sometimes you will need external help, such as the person who knows where you are. And this is all the travel tips I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed my 5 safety travel tips I have for you. I hope everyone is out there traveling safe, and I'll see you next week with another episode of travel tips. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and a comment on what travel tip you would like to see next week. And don't forget to check out JoinMyTrip to find like-minded travel buddies to go traveling with.